So then, we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then, we can understand the time of the end. As per Yeshayahu the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the holy cities of the Hamashiach laid waste from many centuries. Reading from Yeshayahu the prophet, it's always important understanding from where the divine comes from and the holy prophecies concerning the time of the restoration and the time of the autumn feast. Now then, the world did whatsoever wanted these last 1,000 years, and the scripture, meaning the Hebrew scripture and the prophecies from thousands of years ago, are active, and it's very important for a nation understanding this point, because taxes are going to become a real problem. Now then, during this time of the restoration period, there is the kingdom of the East that is rapidly gaining a lot of momentum as far as the economy and the network, mostly because the Eastern government, they understand the importance of taxes. Now then, what is going on with the multi-layer of instructions concerning the kingdom of the Gentiles, and also the many kinds of monetary systems and virtual systems that China is becoming more and more acquainted with the importance of it? And why is it that our nation then is not taking the proper steps in making taxation a very important point? Now then, our government simply at this point in time, they cannot even regulate and monitor the fraud in tax returns. How could we ever expect our government then projecting in the future a control of taxes from international trade? So then, this truly poses a very unique situation, because not only our government is not able to take care of these fraud festival, but they can't understand the importance of taxation via internet. So then, as the world then was modernized, people then in the government levels, they no longer have those positions of simply working for the honor of the position, but they are simply working for themselves. They are not truly very concerned with the situation of the country, because they understand the next 40 years are going to get over and another team is going to come in, and then their names simply are going to be placed in a position where so many people won't ever remember them. Now then, from the fact of the point of ethics, people these days, they want to work for themselves. They are not concerned with the country or any other situations except for what they have in the bank, what they own, their retirement, and then let the rest of it take care of it. But these rest of it is coming to a situation where then the internet becoming so important, is so valuable for the world's trade and tracking and taxation. Now then, since there are many sections of the prophecies pointing towards the autumn feast, or then Galah, the revelation, why then, when people read Revelation, why can't they understand the importance of trade and the internet during the time of the end? One of the situations might be that people get confused with dragon is the same thing as devil, is the same thing as Nahashatan or Satan, or so in their minds what comes very clear is every name of these spiritual beings of sorts, they categorized in only one evil thing. They never had taken the time to read the scripture in their studies and then start searching the scripture and why is this word not the same as the other, as not the same as the other? Are they synonymous? Do they truly search the scriptures in Hebrew and find out what it is? Now then, the Greco translation was not very precise when coming to these names that people consider the whole lot as being evil. We are not talking of evil as a personal choice of doing it or not doing it. Now then, the dragon, when speaks regarding the scripture, what does it mean? It's simply a powerful evil force. Some sort of a demon that comes out of the clouds, or then the ashes, or then the smoke, or some sort of a ritual, monstrous kind of situations. In our nation, our government doesn't realize the dragon means a system of trade. Not sure precisely what it takes to stick this understanding in their minds, because they are thinking of a culture situation or then an evil or religion only, and there they are. They understand that the next 40 years they're going to make as much money as they can, and then 40 years they are gone. So they have to prepare themselves in their future for the next 40 years, because another team is going to come in and they're going to suck from the system the next 40 years, and then comes another team. So the government truly is not concerned regarding what's going on in the country. That's not the country that was ever taught throughout the world. Our generation from 70s, we always learn United States in a certain way, highly organized country, and then these next situations regarding what's coming and during the time of the autumn feast and restoration, the country is completely outside of what it was. So our government is not truly concerned for what the country is doing or not doing. I mean, it's truly amazing that during the time of selection, people don't understand what comes on when the system is in trouble. Tax fraud festival. The government says simply, the system is so big, you can't track it. Now then, if we go to work and we say, the system is so big it couldn't find the problem. That's what the government is doing. They simply can't take care of the problem with taxation fraud. And they simply say, the system is very big. It simply can't be done. So that's kind of a duty that they have as far as their responsibilities. They are not very concerned. Now then, the nation has decided to elect a person with the previous background in many kinds of areas of construction and so on and so forth. Now they are doing things behind our backs, so we don't even know what they are doing anymore. The news is regarding the CIA and the person there that was working on it and for some reason ended up, left the company, and because the CIA was leaking information. Non-relevant situation whatsoever from the viewpoint of the regular people. In fact, it's junk. People are not concerned with these kinds of news because the government is proving that it's incompetent. If they cannot take care of taxation fraud, what else can the people trust with the resources of our country? The natural fact that they're going to try to hide themselves in troubles with the CIA, or troubles with overseas, or troubles with North Korea, or troubles with Syria. They don't take care of their own problems. Meaning they don't own the problems of the country. And there you are. Another 40 years, another team comes over and they suck as much as they can from the system, wallowing around until 40 years and another 40 years and another 40 years. Now then comes a government and from day to night they want to become punctilious. So much to the point of being crazy. Trying to resolve the problems as a tractor driver going over delicate ceramic Chinese cups. So there were troubles that were never taken care of in the past. It won't be these next 40 years. Because if the government cannot take care of what they are spending as far as fraud, they can't even track fraud. How can they get trusted, or be trusted with other important tasks such as the future economy of our country? Now there they are, walking around as big shots, making themselves important because CIA has problems. What do people care of CIA? That's a secret service. Some of this information should never be released. And there they are. People are paying their taxes. People are being responsible. They are doing their dues. And then we watch every year when it comes to tax returns, fraud, 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 fraud. They can't have a record of what's going on because it's big and, excuses. Next time we go to work, they're going to say, I couldn't find the problem because it's so big. Yeah, that's okay. Next 4 years, then we find another person there, or another team to take care of the problem. And they go there, couldn't do it because it's very big. And then while they are doing this and waiting and joking around, and there they are, the printing money machine, day and night. And understandably, the next 40 years is going to get gone, and then another team, and then the next 40 years. So then, hypocrisy. Either the government can take care of it, or they cannot take care of it. If the government, the U.S. government, not talking about any government, talking about U.S. government, they don't have the ability of placing the system under control, so they should hire a third-party company to do it. Now, there it is. Now we are encircled regarding Syria and the problems in the Middle East. Now the Soviets, they want to put a stop on the war. They want to arm each country and make sure they remain on standby. In these arms deal there, not so many people are going to get the benefits from these deals that they made with the Saudis. So then, what does it mean regarding the dragon? Oh, it's simply the religion of the East. And what about this religion? Does it have any links with the new system of trade? And what are they doing that we are not? Why are they expanding by leaps and bounds and we are not? Now there it is. The excuse of the government is, again, the system is so big. And excuses, 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 and excuses. Such as a third world country. Always excuses. Now then, the dragon in chapter 8 of Revelation, what does it say? Then Yohanan had a vision, and he saw the end of the time. He was then in the presence of a very powerful vision of the autumn feast. Now why does he not mention in the nations? Revelation, the nations. The only link that you find in Revelation with the nations is regarding Babylon. The rest of it is regarding the ships of the earth. Now, why then is ships? Why didn't it give any geographical area where it was at? Because the answer is very simple. The only way you can contaminate the oceans, a third part of the world, is with the with the petroleum. Now then, the petroleum has a link in today's society with China. That's why the price of the crude has gone down so much in these last couple of years. Now then, the West's conniving desire for more money in every drum of oil has caused the ruin of our nation. And there they are. So many oil people got rich, filthy rich, scoundrelly rich, and our economy has gone down. Now, where were those profits that those companies made? Were there not taxes that were charged? Where is the money? What about the Louisiana and the Gulf of Mexico, the depopulation project, and transform the region in a huge refinery? Where is the project? But besides going further in the future, why is the government not taking care of the tax fraud festival? Now then, if the government can take care of tax fraud, how are they going to realize the importance of understanding the dragon coming from the east? It is not the spirit that's coming in the minds of the people, it's coming to the trade. Trade, simply trade. The dragon is linked with the trade. Now it comes around and the president talking and talking and talking. That's what he does, only talks. What about raising the salary, for instance? Raising of the minimum wage hasn't said much. But how many companies of his is going to make deals with our government behind our backs? So then they make big deals of any other section other than what about raising of minimum wage? The incompetence of this government is absolutely amazing. These last 20 years, awful, absolutely awful. We're watching these high-paid people in very higher categories, and then the answer, the system is so big we cannot control it. That's the answer from the government. So it didn't take 40 years to ruin our economy, it won't take 40 years to reestablish it. Now then, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. And then chapter 1:8 explains then the merchants of the earth. They are not talking anymore regarding nations. Now then, how many times this was explained and explained and explained and explained, and people don't take the time and read the word. There is so much what a prophet or a representative or a reminders of the Holy Word can do. When governments and people, they simply don't read it, it comes a time where then the divine simply gives the information and then goes to the other section. Let them be victims of their own workings, their own devices, their own schemes. Now, in a genuine fashion, there are many people in this country concerned with the economy of our country. The government is not. What people must understand is this: the government is not concerned with the future of our country. Now, what does it take these thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that voted, and now Medicaid is going to be taken away from them? Couldn't they Understand? Now then, if you're an owner of many companies, do you think you're going to get into politics and try to resolve the problems of the country? Or are they going to try to make even more deals using your own companies? And while you are doing this, you are covering up with other types of situations. CIA, for instance, war in Syria. Now, making America great. Sure. How many times have we heard, oh, we're going to raise the minimum wage? Now, not only this, because of the problem over there in Syria, now the Soviets are tracking our own aircrafts. Now, maybe we should not be so concerned with what's going on in Syria and more concerned with what's going on in our own country, such as organizing the tax fraud festival. But this would make the government honest, wouldn't it? And the government, our government, the US government, they don't want to try to become honest. In fact, they are enjoying each other's incompetence. Now, what's the excuse that this government is going to give? Next year you can deduct more from your taxes. You know what he's saying, truly? Because people have thought of it. Our country cannot organize the tax system. Next year you steal more from your taxes, while the fraudsters are around. So rather than taking care of the problem, he then, you can deduct more from taxes. So what people are expecting from this government? So then, the divine speaks through Yohanan, and a portion of it we find then the merchants of the earth. Why does it not say in the kingdoms of the earth? Why then the merchants of the earth? Purchases of cargo of gold, silver, precious stones, pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, scarlet, and every aromatic fragrances, ivory, iron, marble, aromatics, unguent, frankincense, wine, oil, fine flour, wheat, because the system of trade is in the hands of the dragon. And the dragon is a system of trade of the East. Now our government has no choice. The government can't organize itself, unfortunately. And they expected this gangster that is up there to try to resolve a problem. You simply can't get any resolution. Firstly, if you want to make your country great, you have to think of, well, how can people get more money from their everyday work? No, they raise, But they are not doing it because they're not concerned. What they want is to get rich in the next 40 years, and they want to retire and forget about it. And those people who are from the church are so naive. And then comes a person talking voluminous volumes of junk. They don't understand, they don't detect. Now the very people, the great people that from rural areas and the most they're wanting medical care and using Medicaid, they won't have it anymore. So then why are we so concerned with Middle East or wars overseas if our own country is disorganized? Now we're talking of future of our country. During this time of technology and internet, the government cannot easily deceive the people anymore. People are tracking these legalized pirates. This is what our country is. Became a government of legalized pirates. Now they go in public saying that the system is so big they can't take care of it. Because the Navy is very big, Army is very big, Air Force is very big, Coast Guard is very big, Marines are very big, Pentagon is very big, tax fraudsters are very big. Excuses. Now they have entrusted the government and the whole situation in the world to a person that barely has any knowledge of a military. Goes around the world, doesn't even know how many bases we have. I'm not being critical. But then, when there are people in our country without jobs, jobs are not increasing, and then excusing the system is big, they can't take care of it, without taking any action. No, next year you can deduct more from your taxes. Oh, okay, steal from your own country. Back in the old times, principally when there was law and order, this country never experienced a military dictatorship. Now let's hope they probably won't in the future. Unlikely. But there was an old saying that when in times of crisis, when the nation is wasteful, it's considered a crime. Now the very leader of this country is saying, next year you can deduct more from your taxes. We can take care of our own problems. Next year you can steal from our own country. This is what he's saying. And the reason why he's saying, because he's making dirty deals with his own companies and the government contracts. Now, people are no longer stupid. And people are no longer naive, principally with so many thousands of people from the rural areas that voted. Now, there they are. If it was Obama or Lady Clinton, they would have their Medicaid. Now we have a big problem in our government. Our economy is not improving. The government cannot take care of the tax fraud. Now on top of it, the rural people have no Medicaid. Now from the standpoint of the people in everyday work, standard people who are going to work, they don't have schemes in their minds of expanding and making grander. But then they are the regular people who are working regular hours. They come home, next thing they know, they have no Medicaid. And the country hasn't changed. Their salaries remain the same. Now, was it wise voting for this government? Now then, regarding the system of the East and what the dragon is preparing, what then the system of China is doing? Why we are not focused in what China is doing? During the Beijing reunion they had a while back, meaning nearly a month and a half ago, they decided to get together again in 2 years. There's more than 100 nations involved. China is nearing the 75% of the world's trade. Now then, we come home, we turn on the television, and this crap of CIA. And then we glance at those people. Is that the reason why they are being paid so much? People are not very concerned with what's going on in their incompetence. People, what they want is more money in their pockets. It's not from the stealing from the government. Now then, as far as what the prophet is saying, as far as what's on the scripture, and obviously our government doesn't take the time to read it. The system of the East is so prominent because they are producing, is because also they know how to tax it. Our country does not know how to tax it. And quite frankly, they are wallowing around for the next 4 years and won't get done. What they want, it simply is to get rich. This is what our country must know it. This government wants to get rich in the next 40 years, and it's going to have a change of government, and then the other government wants to get rich for the next 40 years. But then the naive people, those people who are yet involved with trusting that the people are going to do their work, they are not doing their work. Society has changed. Ethics have changed. And this is what we have, a monstrosity of government that doesn't know how to maintain their own records. Regarding what the prophet Yohanan is explaining, he's giving a few understandings so then we can grasp the importance of taxation. The Hamashiach, when he was placed in a round of people that were questioning regarding taxes, even in the divine presence, they were understanding the importance of taxation. Give it to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Now then, the problem is the Caesar of our country is not very concerned of how much taxes are coming in. Next time I'm going to evaluate this more from the enlightenment of the time of the Restoration and the Autumn Feast. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.